You do not become addicted to people because they love you well. You become addicted to them because they wound you in a way that feels strangely familiar. That is the truth most people spend years trying not to see. You tell yourself you miss their voice, their touch, their attention, the way they looked at you when things were good. But if you are honest, what you really miss is the relief, the brief moment when the person who made you feel unwanted suddenly chose you again, the message after the silence, the affection after the coldness, the apology after the cruelty, the tiny dose of hope that made all the pain feel meaningful. And that is how the trap closes. You are not attached to the relationship as it is. You are attached to the moment it changes. You are waiting for the next return, the next sign, the next version of them that resembles the person you believed they could become. Every time they hurt you, a part of you says, "Leave." Every time they come back, another part whispers, "Maybe this time, it will be different." Carl Jung understood that the mind does not relate only to reality. It also relates to images, projections, fantasies, wounds, and unconscious expectations. We do not simply meet another person. We meet everything they awaken inside us. Sometimes what feels like love is not love at all. Sometimes it is an old wound recognizing a familiar language. This is why the person who hurts you can feel more magnetic than the person who treats you with consistency. Peace may feel safe, but chaos feels alive. Stability may feel kind, but unpredictability creates obsession. When affection is given freely, your nervous system relaxes. When affection is withheld, and then suddenly returned, your mind starts chasing it. The reward is no longer the person. The reward is the end of the pain they created. Think about the pattern. They pull away, and you become anxious. You replay conversations. You look for what you did wrong. You check your phone. You imagine them losing interest. You promise yourself you will not reach out. Then they send one message, one soft sentence, one hint that they still care, and the tension disappears. Your body floods with relief. That relief feels like love because it is intense. But intensity is not proof of love. Sometimes intensity is only the nervous system escaping a threat. This is the first reason you become addicted to people who hurt you. They become both the wound and the medicine. They create the distress, then offer the temporary relief. They become the person you run from and the person you run toward. And because the pain stops when they return, your mind begins to associate them with safety, even though they were the source of the danger. Jung believed that what remains unconscious continues to influence our lives. We often call it destiny because we cannot see the pattern choosing for us. You think you are choosing this person, but sometimes you are choosing a feeling you have known since childhood. The feeling of having to earn love, the feeling of waiting for warmth, the feeling of becoming good enough, useful enough, calm enough, beautiful enough, patient enough, so that someone finally stays. If affection was inconsistent early in your life, inconsistency may feel normal now. If you learned that love had to be earned, you may distrust anyone who gives it without making you suffer. If you had to monitor the moods of others to feel safe, you may mistake emotional vigilance for intimacy. You may call it chemistry when your body is actually recognizing danger. This is one of the darkest truths about attraction. We do not always desire what is good for us. We often desire what gives us another chance to solve an old wound. The person who ignores you resembles the parent whose attention you could never fully secure. The emotionally unavailable partner gives you the same impossible mission you accepted years ago. Win them over. Prove your worth. Become the exception. Make the cold person warm. Make the distant person stay. Make the person who cannot love you finally admit that you were worthy all along. But the opposite happens. The longer you chase someone who repeatedly hurts you, the more deeply the wound is reinforced. Every time they withdraw, the old fear returns. Every time you beg, explain, overgive, or abandon your standards, you teach yourself that love requires self-betrayal. Every time they return without changing and you reopen the door, the cycle becomes more familiar. Eventually, pain stops feeling like a warning and begins to feel like home. This is where projection enters. You may not be in love with who they are. You may be in love with the person you keep seeing behind their behavior, their potential, their wounded inner self, their rare moments of tenderness, the person they become when they are afraid of losing you. You collect these moments like evidence and use them against reality. They are not always cold, you tell yourself. They can be loving. They are just afraid. They have been hurt before. They do not know how to communicate. They need time. They need patience. They need someone who will not give up on them. And you become that someone. Because there is no limit to how much you can sacrifice when you believe the next sacrifice might finally transform the other person. You can waste years loving potential while reality keeps hurting you. You can become loyal to a future that never arrives. You can confuse hope with evidence and endurance with devotion. Jung's idea of the shadow helps explain why this happens. The shadow contains the parts of ourselves we reject, fear, or refuse to express. Your anger may be in the shadow, your selfishness, your ability to walk away, your desire to choose yourself, your refusal to understand everyone, your instinct to say, enough. If you were praised for being kind, patient, forgiving, and emotionally available, you may have buried the part of you that knows how to protect itself. You may have learned to call that part cruel. So when someone hurts you, you do not use anger as information. You suppress it. You turn it inward. You ask what is wrong with you, instead of asking why you are accepting what is wrong for you. The more you reject your own power, the more power the other person has. They can disappear, and you wait. They can return, and you forgive. They can confuse you, and you search for clarity inside their words. They can break a promise, and you help them explain why. You become their lawyer, therapist, witness, and victim at the same time. And somewhere inside you, resentment grows. Not only toward them, toward yourself. You know when you ignored your intuition. You remember the first disrespect you excused. You remember the moment your body felt something was wrong. You remember the conversation where their answer did not make sense, but you accepted it because the truth would have forced you to make a decision. This is the part few people admit. Sometimes confusion is not a lack of information. It is resistance to information you already have. You are not waiting for clarity. You are waiting for reality to become less painful. So you return to the fantasy. You remember the beginning, the attention, the intensity, the feeling that they understood you better than anyone. But beginnings are often misleading, because people can give you their best behavior before they reveal their real capacity. The question is not how they treated you when they wanted access. The question is how they treated you once they believed your attachment was secure. Did tenderness become inconsistency? Did curiosity become indifference? Did affection become a reward you had to earn? Did your needs suddenly feel excessive? Did every conflict end with you apologizing for reacting to what they did? Patterns matter more than promises. A person can say they love you and still use distance to control you. They can say they are afraid of losing you while repeatedly doing things that destroy trust. They can cry, apologize, explain their childhood, and still return to the same behavior. Their pain may be real, their wounds may be real, but your suffering is real too. Understanding why someone hurts you does not make the harm safe. This is where many compassionate people become trapped. They think insight creates obligation. Once they understand the other person's trauma, fear, insecurity, or abandonment wound, they feel guilty for leaving. They begin to believe that boundaries are punishment and distance is betrayal. But understanding someone does not require surrendering yourself to them. You can recognize their wounds without becoming the place where those wounds are allowed to bleed forever. You can have compassion without offering unlimited access. You can love someone and still decide that their version of love is destroying your peace. That decision is painful because it breaks the identity you built inside the relationship. Who are you if you are no longer the one who waits, the one who forgives, the one who understands, the one who believes in them, the one who stays when everyone else leaves? Sometimes you remain attached because leaving would force you to meet yourself without the role of rescuer. And that is terrifying. The rescuer appears strong, but often hides a deep fear. If I am not needed, will I still be loved? If I stop giving, will anyone stay? If I stop fixing people, what value do I have? This is why some people unconsciously choose broken partners. A chaotic relationship gives them a permanent purpose. There is always a crisis to solve, a mood to manage, a wound to soothe, a promise to believe. They never have to face the emptiness underneath, because the relationship keeps them emotionally occupied. Chaos becomes a distraction from the self, and when the other person finally gives them peace, they may feel strangely empty. There is no emergency, no chase, no emotional puzzle, no sudden withdrawal to decode. The nervous system, trained by instability, interprets calm as absence. So they create conflict. They become suspicious. They lose attraction. Or they return to someone who hurts them because pain feels more emotionally familiar than peace. This does not mean you are doomed. It means the pattern must become conscious. The moment you can name what is happening, the addiction begins to lose its mystery. You stop saying, "I cannot live without them," and start asking, "What feeling do they activate in me? What am I trying to prove? What old wound am I attempting to repair? What part of myself do I abandon every time they return?" Those questions are uncomfortable because they remove the romantic story. Maybe they are not your soulmate. Maybe they are a mirror. A mirror showing you how easily you confuse longing with love, how quickly you trade dignity for relief, how deeply you fear being unchosen, how much of your identity depends on being able to change someone who does not want to change. The mirror is painful, but it is also the way out. The first step is to stop judging yourself for being attached. Shame will only push the pattern deeper. You are not weak because your mind learned to seek relief from the same person who created the pain. You are not foolish because hope became stronger than evidence. But compassion for yourself must not become another excuse to remain. You can understand why you stayed and still decide not to stay again. The second step is to separate the person from the feeling. When you miss them, ask what you actually miss. Do you miss their consistent presence? Or do you miss the rush of being chosen after rejection? Do you miss who they are every day? Or the rare version of them that appeared when you were ready to leave? Do you miss love? Or the temporary end of anxiety? Be precise. Precision breaks fantasy. The third step is to study the full pattern, not the most beautiful moments. Your mind will try to create a highlight reel. It will show you their smile, their promises, the nights when you felt close. You must remember the entire relationship, the confusion, the waiting, the disrespect, the shrinking, the way you became less like yourself. Do not evaluate a relationship by its highest moment. Evaluate it by its repeated emotional cost. The fourth step is to allow your buried anger to speak without letting it control you. Anger is not always hatred. Sometimes, it is the part of you that finally recognizes a boundary. It says, "This mattered. That hurt. I deserved better. I will not make myself small to keep someone close." When anger is integrated, it becomes strength. When it is suppressed, it becomes obsession, depression, self-blame, or another return to the person who caused it. The fifth step is to stop seeking closure from someone whose behavior already gave you the answer. You think one final conversation will free you. One honest explanation, one confession, one apology that finally makes sense. But closure becomes another excuse for contact, and contact becomes another opening for hope. Sometimes closure is accepting that the pattern is the explanation. They knew you were hurting. They saw your confusion. They heard your needs. And whatever their reasons, they did not create the consistency required for trust. You do not need a more poetic answer than that. The sixth step is to survive the withdrawal without romanticizing it. Because leaving does not feel powerful at first. It can feel like panic. Your mind searches for them. Your body expects the familiar cycle. You may feel empty, restless, irrationally afraid. You may want to send a message only to stop the discomfort. Do not mistake withdrawal for proof that you belong together. The pain of separation does not measure the health of the bond. It measures the depth of the conditioning. Every time you resist the impulse to return, you teach your mind a new truth. Discomfort can pass without their presence. Every day you remain loyal to your boundary. You recover a part of yourself that the cycle trained you to abandon. This is not about pretending you do not care. It is about caring enough about yourself to stop feeding what is destroying you. And then comes the most difficult transformation, learning to receive love that does not hurt. Healthy love may initially feel quiet. It may not produce obsession. It may not keep you awake. It may not force you to decode silence or earn affection. It may feel almost unfamiliar because your body is no longer being thrown between fear and relief. Do not confuse peace with boredom. Peace is what remains when love no longer has to injure you to feel intense. A healthy person will not require you to disappear inside the relationship. They will not punish your boundaries, use your vulnerability as ammunition, or make you compete for basic respect. Their care will not appear only when you are leaving. Their words and behavior will not force you to become a detective. You may still experience fear, because your old pattern will expect the loss. But this time, the fear belongs to your history, not to their behavior. That distinction changes everything. Individuation, in Jungian psychology, is the movement toward becoming a more whole and conscious person. It is not becoming cold. It is not rejecting love. It is no longer sacrificing your center to maintain connection. It is meeting your shadow, your fear, your anger, your desire, your loneliness, and refusing to make another human being responsible for completing you. When you begin this process, your relationships change. You stop asking, "How do I make them choose me?" You start asking, "What do I choose when I am no longer afraid of being alone?" You stop measuring love by how much pain you can survive. You start measuring it by how fully you can remain yourself. You stop chasing the person who triggers your wound. You begin protecting the person inside you who has been waiting for your loyalty. And this is the moment the addiction begins to break. Not when you stop feeling, not when you forget them, not when you become indifferent. It breaks when you understand that the longing is not a command. You can miss someone and still not return. You can love someone and still deny them access. You can grieve the fantasy and still accept the reality. You can forgive and still close the door. The strongest version of you is not the one who never becomes attached. It is the one who recognizes when attachment has become self-abandonment and chooses to come back to themselves. So look carefully at the person you cannot release. Do they truly love you, or do they repeatedly activate your fear and then offer just enough relief to keep you waiting? Are you connected to who they are, or to the future you keep imagining? Are you protecting a relationship, or protecting yourself from the emptiness that appears when the relationship ends? And the hardest question of all, if you knew they would never change, would you still call this love? Do not answer quickly. Let the question destroy the fantasy. Because sometimes the person you think you cannot live without is simply the person who showed you where you were still willing to abandon yourself. They did not create the wound, but they found it. They did not invent your fear, but they learned how to activate it. And now the choice is yours. You can continue returning to the same pain and calling it destiny, or you can make the unconscious pattern conscious and finally interrupt it. If this message has shown you a truth you were avoiding, write this in the comments. I choose reality over the fantasy. Write it as a promise to yourself, not because one sentence can heal everything, but because naming the truth is the first act of freedom. And subscribe if you are ready to understand the hidden patterns that control attraction, attachment, power, and human behavior. This channel is not here to make comforting illusions sound beautiful. It is here to help you see what those illusions have been costing you. The next time you feel the urge to return, remember this: you are not craving the pain. You are craving the relief. You are not losing the love of your life. You may be losing the role that kept an old wound alive, and the silence that follows will feel empty only until you realize what is returning inside it. Your self-respect, your clarity, your identity, your life. Do not get emotionally attached to the person who teaches you to abandon yourself. Let the lesson remain. Let the person go.